We've been telling you that there were two major announcements coming, and Ken's going to help lead us through two of them and bring the stakeholders and those that have been the contributors to putting these projects together. It's not usual that we would want to show off something in particular, but this is very significant, and there are many messages here about, well, as I put it when we started the show, mind, body, and spirit, and I think that's what this really represents. So, Ken, come on, you're on, and bring your posse.
Good morning, everyone. We're very excited to be here. My name is Ken Gusht. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for the town of Elk Point. And we're proud to be here and very excited to share with you a new project that we're embarking upon. And we've already got it up on the screen, but it's the wrong one. Yeah, you need to, flip it, please. Yeah. Yes, just gonna. Sorry, what do you mean by wrong one? The wrong slide. The other one. Yeah, thank you. So before we get started, I would like to ask for Mr. Clifton Cross to come up and say the blessing.
Clifton Cross, my name is Clifton Cross from Frog Lake First Nations. It's with great pride and a humbling of my soul that we work with the municipality that respects our culture. So the offering of a tobacco I cannot refuse. So in English, I'm going to make a little prayer for all the souls across our great lands of Canada, for Turtle Island, for the globe. So join me in this. Creator, today I thank you. Thank you for allowing us to wake up today and to greet the sun, to greet the uskie beneath our feet, the wind that's held in our lungs, the water systems that flow through all life and living things, and the ether that connects us right back to Source, Creator, God. We must be appreciative of every breath we take and all the We must be appreciative of every breath we take, the life that we live. In 1876, we signed a treaty with Canada to serve our nation and share our lands. There are different things happening in our globe right now. In Gaza, in the Ukraine. Here in Treaty 6, we choose to do different. We choose to do the opposite. To work hand in hand in hand. That is nature. That is the visiting population. That is the population that built Canada, as well as the first peoples that were here. So I pray every single day that the efforts that we take together serve 7 generations ahead and beyond, to make sure that their lands, their air, their water, the green grass are all here for them as they come. It's this kind of effort that Angus talks about, working together with the First Nations, together with the Métis, together with the Inuit. We have nothing but solutions. We were never part of the problem. That's the way I ask for all of you to live your life. Take the time to look to your neighbors, your left and your right now. And each of those people serve a purpose for that destiny. To those 7 generations, Creator, I am so grateful, Nanaskaman, to breathe this life and share it. Hi, hi. Thank you.
Thank you, Clifton. So to start, we'd like to introduce a project that is very close to us. Before you is some leaders that are plowing the way, and this project is called Nikawawe Aski Michuan, which means Mother Earth Food. We're very proud of our new name, and I'd like to call upon, first of all, the town of Elk Point. On the screen is our mayor and council, and to start off with one of the board members, board directors, and the mayor of the town of Elk Point, Parish Tung.
Good morning, Tansi. My name is Parish Tung, and I have been serving on Town of Elk Point Council for 6 terms, 5 terms as mayor. Mr. Watt said something really profound. I just heard it. I have a speech, but I'm not going to use it. The town is situated in heavy oil country, Lakeland. And for as long as I remembered, because I was a teacher there starting at 77, right, Dwayne? One of my students over there. And what happened is that we have been growing complacent. We depend on oil and gas. Our revenue comes from it. However, as everybody knows, the last 5 years, it has changed drastically. And to face, we have a problem in small towns. So we're looking at problem solving. How can we do it? That means we are pivoting away from our dependency on oil and gas. It's still a big contributor in our region. Make no mistake. But as a leader of my town, together with council, we're very foolish to sit back and say, they'll come back, there'll be jobs. We have to face the reality. And that's why we're fortunate enough with our relationship. We had built relationship with Fort Lake First Nation. I thought he's dead. So, well, I'm not gonna say how old I am, let me tell you, but we had an opportunity. So now we are basically building what we call, as he said, field of dreams. We're hoping that when we take the step, one, we can benefit our people, that includes Fort Lake First Nation and our residents, and also open up the opportunity for other towns and municipalities. I'm not going to politics, I'm not going to say anything about revenue and everything, but we need this kind of effort. And hopefully, knock on wood, knock on my head, that this will be successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Parish. So our next speaker is also a board member for the town of Elk Point on our new Miskowin project, and that's Councillor Tim Smaraka. Tim, please come on. Please welcome Tim.
Thanks all. It's a pleasure to be here today. For those that don't know me, or maybe they do, but this is me excited. I don't jump up and down, but this announcement today is a big thing for our community. I'm glad Parish didn't talk about the finances and all that stuff, because that was my pull of the card today to talk about that. Angus had talked about it, that we've seen a lot of increases as far as taxation, as cost of living and everything else, and as a municipality, we're always struggling to find where's the next place that we can do things or do something different to be able to raise money or find monies to be able to support the community without hitting the taxpayer always in the back pocket. This is my second term, so back when I first got into the political thing I was a community member. I was born and raised, went to school, raised my kids. Everything I do is around Elk Point, and within the visioning of the town, we relied again on the oil and gas. As a young man, I learned that we turned away business. We had, back in the 40s, we were supposed to get a tractor and combine dealer to come in and set up shop, and the community said, no, we don't want it. We had opportunities at other businesses that we turned our back on. So as a member of the community, and then being able now to serve the community on council, I made it my desire to go out and diversify, but also to help try to find solutions. And with this new project, we've taken on the task of creating a MCC. So back in 2018, Ken was able to tell me this morning, there's some legislation changes that allowed us to go forward with being a partner, and I say a partner with this group and with others, but it was a start. Something we didn't think would ever come to pass initially when we started discussing it in council, but through a little determination and a little desire, here we are today as being a partner within the operations. And it gives us buy-in as a community to make sure that projects like this in this industry start to prosper and become stronger. It gives us collaboration. And I guess in the financial side of things, this gives us an opportunity, again, not to have to go back to the taxpayer. This gives us a chance as a municipal controlled corporation, the ability to raise funds now that maybe we didn't have, putting tax dollars towards infrastructure and not to try to find dollars to help promote business, to help promote some of the important things that lie within a community, like a skating rink that every kid uses every year. So it's a great pleasure to be here to help with this announcement. I know you guys aren't here to hear me talk, you're here to hear about what's going on, so if there's any questions or anything later on, I'd be happy to sit down with anybody, but we look forward to the next years to come, so thank you.
Thank you, Tim. So our next partner in this new venture is a good friend. And it's an honor to ask him to come and say a few words. So please bring your hands together and welcome Clifton Cross.
I'll start with this. Thank you, Ken. Without him as a guide and a helpful side-by-side partner, none of this would be possible. We call each other brother, and I felt that introduction right to the heart. I actually want to introduce to the group, to the gallery, some of the working members of Frog Lake First Nations that came in attendance today. Our Economic Director, Holly Moyo. Our Business Development Officer, Wayne Fiddler. Our working group with Wisconsin that will do the agricultural work, Dwayne Faithful and Rita Quinney. Engagements like this is exactly how we answer what the pandemic left us really considering. In 2020, we had 17 cases. We called an emergency meeting. Our chief pulled us all together into a room to address our needs. In Frog Lake First Nations, we have unprocessed oil, unprocessed wheat, barley, cash crops. How do we feed our population if the municipalities and cities closed their doors to our population, which was happening? Well, I went home and sat on the toilet where all great ideas come from. And I was inundated with solutions. 14 possible ways to get to that end game of actually having autonomy, sovereignty for our people to survive this new crisis. Developing that plan had hemp all over it to serve us with super nutritious food that we could not offer. We had community gardens, yes, but not enough to sustain us. So we reached out to our partners. Parrish, who I now call Uncle, he raised generations of kids, my generation, my dad's generation. So who better to reach out to first than the neighboring municipality, the closest neighbor municipality to Frog Lake? That inspired several opportunities to maybe transition from Elk Point, the name, to Hemp Point, because we have aspirations of doing just that. In terms of capacity development, we have an agricultural background. Before the signing of the treaties in 1876, we hunted, we gathered. After the signing, our Indian agents actually developed us as agricultural entrepreneurs, and we did very well. Something changed in the government, and they decided to introduce the pass permit system, which took away our free right to actually grow and sell our own product. 150 years, we claim that back. We are not just here. We were not just here, but we are still here. Learning from the outside for 150 years, the possible solutions to some of the problems that everyone faced and still face today. When you take into consideration the starving babies that caused the uprising in 1884, 85, yeah, we were labeled a rebel band back then. And if you do the research, all we did was try to protect our livelihood, our starving population. Inundated with amalgamations of 5 additional bands, Frog Lake became very, very strong and used its voice. We harmed people, which we all regret. But from there, we were punished. 70 years of punishment. And then finally, we had our annuities, our $5 a year returned to us. And we used that to prosper in oil and gas. We used that to become a workhorse in oil and gas for 45 plus years. Raising our bank account to $120 million, which you guys probably heard on APTN. But we used it to sustain ourselves. We used it to build houses, 50 houses, with our own source revenue. I took initiative when I saw the only thing that we had going for us was volleyball. I was a horrible volleyball player, and I sat on the bench playing the guitar, but that's what I cling to. When I returned from college and university, I addressed those gaps. Provided the open door for open gym nights, music classes, and then we took a hold of the youth population itself. 80% of our population on reserve are youth. 216 kids rose up, created 2 playgrounds, 4 baseball diamonds, an arena, a field house, a fitness center, a radio station, a recording studio. I got into council 10 years after doing all that work with my community. We continued the great work. A high school, a library, a travel center, an emergency management center. Then the pandemic hit. Then those 14 great toilet ideas came to me. And since 2020, we're finally able to announce one of the first. Mother Earth Foods. Negaoi ski mitsuin. It resonates. And with this, we could finally answer that chief's question. With our partners, we can bring solutions that I implore the other municipalities to reach out to their First Nations. We do have answers. We were never part of the problem, always a part of the solution. Our leaders are begging for this. We're tired of arguing. We see what the end game happens over the seas. We must prepare for a drought that Alberta is right on the heels of. We must prepare for supply chain issues that are happening right now. The Panama Canal, the Red Sea, we're hearing it all over the place. But rather than soak in that lack, Let's provide prosperity, abundance for all of our populations. That's what this does, opens the door for sustainability, and never again will my population be facing starvation. Hi, hi.
Thank you, Clifton. Very, very, very nice presentation. The next person I'd like to call upon, another partner in the company, also a friend, and you've heard from him yesterday from Olive, the CEO, Scramantis Nicosteel.
Okay, hello again. There was a quick presentation that was sent. If we are honored to be a junior partner in this great journey, because it is going to be, it has been a journey already, but it is going to be an even longer one. I am sure of it. I do have a tendency to engage myself in a very long journey. And it took 11 years to us to figure out how to sell hemp food. I hope it will not take 22 years to figure it out again. We are honored, and our job in this, while we're waiting for the presentation, will be to share whatever limited knowledge we have on organic farming, because we specialize in organic hemp farming. Together, of course, with a bunch of partners, and in food processing, and of course, there is no business without sales. We'll be doing our very best to support the group in connecting it with our existing and upcoming sales partners.
Your presentation was just emailed recently, so I'm just downloading it.
No worries, it's okay. It's another thing that we are contributing ourselves is that there has been some of you may have heard, has been a hemp food processing facility being built in Leduc, actually. Aurora Cannabis was investing in it. It was never finished because, Aurora hit the wall. We as a company acquired that equipment, and there are a couple of people in this group that they put their own blood, sweat, and tears into putting that machinery together. Matt, Rigel, I can see Matt. Is Rigel around? So I want to say that we acquired that equipment from liquidators, at Aurora, and that equipment is going to be put to its purpose here in Alberta. It didn't go anywhere. It's there, and very soon it will be located in town of Oak Point and processing hemp. Although, like we discussed yesterday, right? It's not enough just to be able to dehull seeds and crush the oil. There's much more to it, and I'm sure that we will do that. While we are waiting for a presentation to come up, because since yesterday I converted to a marketing person, apparently. My presentation is going to be about marketing more. I want to thank personally Clifton for unstoppable desire to get this through, for welcoming me, a total outsider, to your community. It is a great honor and responsibility. Also, Ken and Parrish, Oak Point has been more than welcoming. I've been enjoying these trips, and the way you encourage business to come. I encourage all other businesses, if you're considering, do go to Oak Point, or should I say Hemp Point now? It's a place to go. Who has the remote? Oh, here we go. Someone hit it. Got it. Thank you. And before I jump to the marketing stuff, because not everything is about just having access to acreage, which is extremely important, and not everything is about having a place to put great processing equipment. It's also about sales. But I want to mention one person without whose effort I would not be here. I would not have participated in that many AHA conferences as well. And Lorijo, if you could please stand up. Where's Lorijo? You're doing a great... Lorijo, you're doing a great work. You didn't know that this is going to happen. But Lorijo, to whatever municipality, she couldn't care less. But what she's doing is, as a foreign direct investor, she's grabbing everyone by one place and just dragging it to Alberta. There are competitors to Lorijo from Quebec, from other provinces, but as soon as Lorijo gets to you, there's no way out. So kudos to you, Lorijo. All of us are really grateful to you. And unless you decide to become a premier, which maybe you should, keep bringing businesses here. You're good at it. Okay, now marketing. Apart from growing great product and processing it into great food ingredients, hopefully packaging into end consumer products, we talked about it yesterday, right? I was thinking what else we could do to differentiate the product. So I come originally from Lithuania, which is a member of European Union. In European Union, for example, I was just participating in a trade show in Dubai. That particular trip was financed by European Union. We were there because our European division can supply whatever products we produce, if needed, only from European-sourced goods, including packaging, etc. That is why we fall under so-called protected designation of origin trademark, and we can, if needed, claim that's purely European product. It's a good example how European Union is trying to push a certain labeling that maybe will create some value to products produced in Europe under this label. Another example, a little bit more familiar, Rainforest Alliance certificate, basically ESG, so environmental, social, governmental good practice. Again, quite well known in particular product categories, especially coffee and tea. I think statistically we can trace that it does increase sales. Currently, it's in terms of marketing, Black-owned businesses. It seems to be as a brand to be somewhat deteriorating for whatever business reasons, not political. But it's a great initiative, and it's not a bad idea at all. So I was looking into such initiatives, and who knows what future brings, a totally separate brand or maybe a branded ingredient. We all of us will decide on how we're going to do this. But I think at least what can be done here is we could establish I know I was looking at Costco, Walmart, the big retailers. I couldn't find end consumer products in terms of food. In this category, I don't think there is a certificate or even a proper effort to differentiate and identify products that would be farmed on land and processed in facilities majority owned by First Nations and indigenous communities. I'm sure there are startups trying to do that, but none, I think, have succeeded to reach mass retailers yet. And I think this is at least what we should do. If not the brand, maybe this would be easier. And pardon my art, it's ChatGPT-4. This morning I asked for some inspiration, and apparently it's much better than I would be. Just some ideas I asked to, I threw a bunch of words. As you can see, some relations to Canada. I didn't mention Alberta. I'm sure there's a way to incorporate Alberta in there, but I think it's something that we should do. And if I know consumers well, it should resonate. And it will not cost much to try. So yeah, land aside, finances aside, facilities aside, business has to generate sales. And yeah, we have some good ideas about how to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Skermantis. Before we take questions, I'd just like to make a couple statements. The Frog Lake First Nations is going to be, they're planning on seeding hemp on their lands this spring. So that's the farming side of the business, and that's going to grow as they wish, and it could grow into other nations or settlements as well. And also the processing side, which will come, would be in Elk Point, just so that you know that there's two sides to that business. And then we'd like to acknowledge a couple people. If I could just take a second. Tatum Claypool with FCC. She's a very important part of this organization. And there's also a person that started working with the town of Elk Point. She's not here today. And that's Jing Ma. She was the business owner, still in our community. 3 years ago, I met Mr. Nicosteel here. So with that, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
It's a shy group, you know. They're shy. This has been extraordinary. Let's give them a helping hand. This has been about people. I think if there's any takeaway, and each one of you expressed it both in your emotions and in what you had to say, was this project would not have come together if it hadn't been about people. So thank you very, very much. Skermantis, anything you want to share here?
So sorry, I was reminded that I got too much into marketing and I forgot the numbers. The expectation from major parish is that we're going to reach 15 to 20,000 acres of certified organic hemp farmland, which in a proper crop rotation would be at least 3 times that. Jeff is sitting thinking, who said free plant crop rotation is a crop rotation? That's BS. Well, we're gonna compromise. So it's what I'm saying is going to be we're going to try to grow lots of hemp. So we will need many partnerships for this to work out. Thank you.
That was a color that I thought might have been lacking. Something further? Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. And just to add to that, he's a lot taller than I am. So we did reach out to get further funding to engage the rest of the Indigenous populations in our surrounding corridor. So we exist as a part of Tribal Chiefs Ventures, and there are 6 bands in there: Frog Lake, Kiyuan, Coal Lake, Heart Lake, Beaver Lake, and Goodfish. But we also engaged a few members that are associate members, so Onion Lake, Saddle Lake, and then reached over to Treaty 6 lands in Saskatchewan, so Thunderchild, who have done incredible stuff in agriculture since I think it's been 15 years of positive success. Also, between those nations lie the Métis settlements, so Buffalo Lake, Elizabeth Settlement, and Fishin Lake, adding to an ecosystem of 14 Indigenous nations. Now, we've engaged them in only handshake agreements, but we plan on going to each of those communities and lifting the peace pipe, starting it in a good way. I implore you, if you know of any active members of those political bodies and their governments, get involved. We can do this together. Again, I'll refer to what Angus had mentioned. And even in Japan, they have these mom-and-pop shops where the industry grows in that way. So consider our nations basically that family that can do this as one. Hi, hi.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you. Clifton, crew, all of you, thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. Thanks, Skermantis. By the way, I asked Skermantis yesterday as they're clearing the stage, and thank you, was how does someone from Lithuania find their way to Elk Point? And there's an answer, and the answer is here. Skermantis had come to a conference, And Elk Point took the initiative, under the guidance of those at Champion Networking, to talk to one another. And from that moment, from that conception, this has been born. And this is not the end. I mean, the comments were made in closing. This is just the beginning of building relationships that will spread out from Frog Lake to others that they will manage, but there are other communities beginning to think similarly. So I think what we're all watching is the birthing of something that we can thank Lithuania for and Elk Point. So thank you all very, very much. We have another presentation. And by the way, if you want coffee, why don't we take just a brief break for those that are dying for coffee. Wander, we'll continue to move along, but we're not gonna miss you. Just go get your coffee, bring it back, but be a little quiet in the process, because I'd like to keep our process moving. The other project that we want to talk about, do we get everybody on stage? Yeah. We've got a second project that is as exciting and somewhat related. And while Elk Point is still part of the story, there are others coming to the fore. So who will take the lead in introducing the project? Paris, you want to go ahead? Okay. And by the way, the last presentation is summarized in this handout.
Good morning again. I think I'm hogging the mic now, but as a teacher, well, I'm used to teach students, right, Dwayne? Okay, here's a second project of probably some more. And the first project, we look after feeding our people. That is, we are working with the Scamander and Frog Lake First Nation who produce organic food for the people. This project, we're looking at building for the people. We're looking at the possibility. We talk about housing. We talk about keeping our people within the reserve, keeping my residents within our town to have jobs that actually are living waged. And that's part of what we're trying to do. We want to grow the town, and we're looking at serving our people. And I just want to stress, myself, Clifton, everyone, we want to serve our people. I don't need my name, therefore I just didn't say anything, but we just want to serve our people. So with your permission, I'll let Ken come back up and we'll talk about this project. Thank you.
So thank you, Parrish. Our next person to talk is also a board member. And I don't know if you can say our company name, Asinikatamak. We're quite proud of it. And perhaps Clifton can talk a little bit about the name. But I'd like to call upon Councillor Jason Boris, also a director. Please welcome.
Thank you, Ken. Thanks for all having us. As a councillor in town, we're actually excited not to have one, but two projects and a lot of irons in the fire. Just a little bit of conversation. Like I've moved into the town of Elk Point only 20 years. I've lived in the county for all my life, but even though I've been on the county, in town for 20 years, I'm actually with the town council. I'm actually the new kid on the block because everybody else has been living in that community all their lives. The mayor actually has been mayor longer than I've actually been in town. So by kind of looking on the outside, looking in, we've talked about how Elk Point has been a big economic driver in our county. For the last 40 years, it's been oil and gas, which has provided a lot for the area. The problem is, within those 40 years, there's been a lot of hardship. The conversation is, with every 1 year of good boom in oil and gas, it's always followed by 2 years bust. And within the last 30 years, they've always had the conversation. In those 2 years of a bust, well, we got to diversify. We got to do something. We got to bring more to Elk Point. But when that 1 year of boom comes, that always got forgotten. And so it's been a long conversation, but never had any activity. And since 2015, which has been our last bust, we now finally got the traction that we need to have something else. And within those 2 years of always the bust, what has kept the economy going in our area was the agriculture. And being a kid from the farm and having a background in agriculture, when I came to council, that's kind of what we wanted to push. We wanted to be able to create the agriculture diversification in our area that is the economic driver, as oil and gas kind of takes the sidestep. And so these projects that are coming in, whereas we all got excited because this is something that we can actually have some concrete physical observations in town that we can provide to our farmers, because it's not only about telling our producers to be able to grow a product, we have to be able to provide them the market. The market is key. If we don't have a market, we're not going anywhere. So I'm very proud to be on this board and be able to work with everybody on this council, on this panel, because I think it's going to bring a lot of excitement to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. So our friends and also our other partner in the company, I had the honor and the privilege of meeting Tam 3 years ago at a conference at AHA in this room. So we'd like to call upon, just before we do, call upon Tam to speak with you, to hear his story and our story. We'd also like to recognize Jesse Hahn. He's also a director and owner of NFT. So Tam, please come on up. Please give him a warm welcome.
It's really an honor and a privilege to be part of these. For us, as far as natural fiber technologies is concerned, it's a 25 years adventure with some ups and downs over 25 years. And we consider the current arrangement as a reverse and rejuvenation for what we have been doing in the past 25 years. I will quickly go. Part of this slide you see has been covered by Jesse yesterday, and I will escape them. Thank you. Okay. This is our story quickly, 1998 to 2003. That's what happened. Jesse went through that yesterday very well. I'll continue from 2023 on. That's why I counted 25 years. During this period, we came up with 4 platform products, one of which is a subject for today's event. That is our fiber cement composite materials. The other 3 are waiting on the side, or we hope they will follow through soon. Now, this was the key for us to move forward. The supply chain, I don't know anybody talks about it. There is a hemp industry. We don't think there is. It's just the beginning, because the supply chain is not yet established. In order to do that, we designed our own decorticators and start processing. Now we have sufficient capacity to supply and build the proposed plant. So to talk about Asin Kaitamawak, which is the operation, here is our approach, and things are being done on the ground already. We have acquired 7.5 acres property with 14,000 square feet building, where we will be starting off this venture with pilot production. We first start with pilot production. The product is partially tested, but we need product code approvals. This pilot production, most of it will go, on the one hand, for finalizing the code approval process, which will take 10 to 12 months, and also do pre-commercialization. Just so you know, if there is anybody interested in here, we will be in a position to take pre-orders as of this coming April. That's how fast we are moving. And then the commercial operation, the pilot operation has a capacity of 250 to 500 blocks per day. We can discuss, you can ask why we start with masonry blocks. Strategic approach there. The commercial plant will be doing about 100 blocks per hour. What happens is we are already doing the design work, selection of vendors, equipment suppliers. At the moment, while the pilot plant is going, the design work will be completed, vendors selected for a targeted startup of sometime in 2026. As we go along, it's not our intent. The pilot plant will continue to do R&D backup product development while the commercial plant keeps manufacturing the known products. As a growth area, we intend to go into panelization for tilt-up walls, fast construction, and for residential and commercial constructions, highway sound barriers, custom fabrication. Anybody interested, if they have, they want to build anything with hempcrete, conventional term with hempcrete material, we are open because we will have the pilot facility doing R&D product development. We are open to entertain that if you have your ideas to manufacture, even going to private labeling, whatever the case may be. Otherwise, the next move, which we are already working on, is to get into, hopefully, structural composite panels to provide sustainable, highly energy efficient homes to customers. In terms of the market, I didn't talk much about the market because the markets are all around us. The nice thing is our major partner has a need for several hundred homes, which we hope we will capture all of that as we go along. I guess, so this is an artist's rendering of what the commercial operation is going to be. The white building at the center is the existing facility, which we houses a pilot plant. The further one is the proposed commercial facility. Here is the rendering of the equipment, which is highly automated equipment we intend to install, and another view of that. And thank you. Before I leave the podium, though, I have been trying to consolidate as to what is happening. This is for TTS. This is a second commercial spin-off. Even then, they're too far apart. It took too long. And also, several exchanges and conversations with Clifton, and Ken, who really spearheaded that from 3 years ago. There aren't very many such things I know which start off conversation and in 3 years they hit the ground. I don't know any. This is the fastest thing I have seen. And I'll borrow, Perry kept using these words, mind, body, spirit, which came to Holly. It couldn't have been very fitting, these three words couldn't have been very fitting for what happened between NFT, Elk Point, and Frog Lake First Nations. I see it as a convergence of mind, body, and the spirit. And I'm very proud for NFT to play or provide the yeast for what I see are big things coming into Elk Point. I concur with Cremantus, which together we hope to change Elk Point into Hemp Point.
Thank you, Tam. Thank you very much, Tam, for those kind words. We have one last partner. We'd like to hear from my brother Clifton Cross from Frog Lake First Nations.
So for the third time, I'm grateful to address all of you. One thing that we were hoping you realize is that we took the holistic approach here. Back in 2020, when I got those 14 inundations on the toilet seat, it was to answer and take an old idea. Our First Nations actually used one animal to provide food, shelter. Now we can take a plant to do much of the same. We used every part of the buffalo in our nations when it was available and abundant. We survived all of the climate issues, the climate change now, and we are actually growing buffalo in our nation again, which itself is a great feat. So we applied all of that holistic, multiple perspectives into what we wanted to do with hemp, taking advantage of the 1,001 different opportunities you can go. On our nation, I just relayed that we built 50 homes to get us up to 400 homes. There is 1,700 people living in Frog Lake. How do they live in 400 homes? Well, we stack each other. I'm kidding. But what we do is survive, as we always have. And now, applying the technologies that are available to us in this day and age, we make sure that we take that indigenous knowledge and apply it to the Western philosophies. This is how we walk together. That buried hatchet in the ground between two handshaking partners that exists, we hold that strong. We've lost 20 houses to house fires, electrical fires, arson in 5 years. So those 400 homes now are less those 20. We have a projection with our M2 water systems, which thankfully Canada can now deliver water, safe, clean drinking water to Frog Lake First Nations, which is the first time in 150 years. They projected that our population, which is now 3,650, will reach 5,000 in 2030, will reach 10,000 in 2050. We can't do that with 400 homes. So what we initiated here was actually apply hemp brick that is water resistant, fire resistant, pest resistant. We have 160 members in our nation suffering from the effects of black mold. When I told you we have the solutions, it's not just us, it's reaching out and taking the ideas and just showing them our hearts where the solutions lie is right here. Where the solutions lie for addressing all of the needs of a crisis that scales Turtle Island, and Canada's right in a bubble. The next step is to get it across the nation in terms on a CN rail. The light weight of our bricks can help with our bottom line and make an investment across our nation to supply homes that will not burn, will not cause disease, will not cause a detriment to our pocketbooks. The application of these sustainable materials answer every question that what we're calling for. Justin Trudeau was here saying he had $175 million to offer to Edmonton. In the same way you've been doing it for 150 years, please, please think outside the box, Mr. Prime Minister. We approach net zero, and net zero to me is just an additional tool, a framework that we can utilize to get to our achievements. And those goals are set and they're really clear in front of us. L Point, the region, 30 years ago took out rail. I still don't know why, because that's shooting this one and both at the same time. With the First Nations, we can flip that story, get our product to the market in so many levels, deliver the solutions, deliver the products that can sustain all of our people, visitors, immigrants, because they are filling our lands. We want to work with them, but we want them to know that First Nations are here. The provincial government needs to help us do that. And we need to build capacity, electricians, bricklayers, sub-trades. We can do that by sharing ownership to something that we used to call the Juchu. And if you didn't know, the train that went through and divided all of our tribes, that cleared out loads and loads of buffaloes. You see pictures of those buffalo heads piled into mountains that starved my people. We can flip that whole thing around, introduce it so that it's a sustainable product, use hydrogen fuel engines. This is how we have to work together, delivering our products so that these can actually sustain. Investment needs to happen on that level. The municipalities, the cities, the provinces. Work with your First Nations, because we're gathering in force. Consortia needs to happen. My good friend in the back, Bob Belspalco, his good work with the Alberta Hub, and all of the 51 members that we brag that we are partners with. We need to launch into these MLAs, these MPs, and show them the way, because we are talking on those levels. We are doing exactly what Angus had said earlier. Every part of the animal, now every part of that plant, can sustain our populations as one. Hi.
Yes, so the mayor would like to say a few words, very short. Please come up, Parrish.
As a teacher, I would like to wrap all this up. We have two projects presented to you. One is for food processing, one is for building. And they are actually symbiotic. That means they benefit each other. Think about First Nation involvement. They created, with FCC's help, a supply of hemp. Scamander, Mr. One buys it. We take the seed for food, the stalk, we pass it on to SK Tamak so that they can build bricks. And then we turn around and put the bricks in so that we can build the houses. In the beginning, as I suggest to Clifton, let's look at First Nation, because I know there's a need for house. I'm a teacher. I know my kids. And then we can expand to Alberta for the whole province, and then go global together with the food that we're producing. So in a sense, nothing is waste, and that is what we're trying to do. And of course, there are other projects, hopefully, that we'll announce, in which within a month or two, then it also complements everything that we're doing. Thank you.
I know you guys are getting tired of me, but just Asani Katemawak. So it means works with brick in Cree. I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood the content in there. Asani Katamawak. And it does have the name Tam inside of it.
Thank you, Parrish, and thank you, Clifton. Just wrapping up, do you have any questions? I'll do that. Okay.
A couple of people have already asked some questions on this side, and I'll pose them to you quickly. One of them is numbers. We're going to talk numbers. The number 100,000 has been tabled in the brochure that you'll see, which over time, we're talking 33,000 rotated over a 3-year period. We're talking the addition to the market in Alberta over time, it's not next year, of 100,000 acres in this one project alone. Now, 2 years ago when we wrapped up the conference, we threw out a number of 333 by 25. Some thought it was foolish, but when I see this project, and I see the momentum that I've heard over the last couple of days, and I was going to ask every farmer in the room and whatever, in Manitoba Harvest, how many acres can we actually begin to envision? I think we're well into the 200, 250. When you put this project on the table, and what we heard from Manitoba Harvest, and we heard from Dan, and what we heard from Aaron, I think you as an industry are on your way. That distribution piece is even now being talked about. So your project is going to be a major contributor to helping contribute to the momentum that has been born. And the thing I feel I heard was from a spark to a flame. So thank you. And thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
So we're not going to feel questions. I think we've got enough time. We don't have enough time. Is there anything burning out there that I should table? Tam, go ahead. Tell me. I'll pass it on.
This thing that is happening, that was created with their vision.
Oh, yeah. No,
Actually pursued,
yeah.
and we failed.
Yeah.
We had an association with Hemp.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
equipment of which he's
Yeah.
buying, he's installing as fiber processor.
We'll keep that conversation going out in the hallway, over coffee. Like there's so many dimensions to a project like this where you just can't give enough credit out to the number of people that have been involved. We've touched on a few of them, and I'm sure we've missed others. There's also history. Put history behind us. I mean, we've heard about the history. There's a lot of negatives in that history, but all I have been hearing today is the vision of the future. So thank you very much. Jesse, was anything on